So as Councillor Watson said, I'm Amy Pitt. I'm the Assistant Director for Talk Community Programme, and thank you ever so much for allowing us to come tonight and to talk to you and to consider where the partnership and collaboration work can be between Talk Community and the Herefordshire Green Network. So what is Talk Community? So I know a number of you on the call are fully engaged with Talk Community, aware of it, as some of you said that hubs already, which is fantastic. But if I give you, so you may already know this and heard this talk, but I'll give you a bit of an overview. So Talk Community is the strategic delivery vehicle for the community ambition as part of the county plan that the council and cabinet members have recently approved. And it looks to improve sustainability, connectivity and well-being by strengthening communities and the partnership working with communities. Talk Community is very much a system-wide partnership approach to prevention, enabling and connecting people to get the assistance they need, and very much with the key ambition to making independence and well-being inevitable for all Herefordshire citizens across all ages. So quite a big tall ask, but it also sort of focuses on the strengths of people and communities, the space and place that people and communities occupy, and the economies in which the communities work. And the key foundation and the beating heart that really does sit within Talk Community is the community partnerships that we look to endeavour and to work with across different industries and different sectors. And this isn't just about health and social care. This is very much around how we engage and work in partnership with the communities. And there are countless stories of communities working together to help themselves. And Talk Community looks to work with and connect and really build on those models already in place. So some of the Talk Community principles, as I've already said, Talk Community is very much based around maximising independence and well-being for all, and across that all ages spectrum. We've got great engagement from our children's directorate colleagues in terms of this and the approach in terms of prevention in children and families, which is fantastic. Talk Community really builds on as well the strength-based model and approaches that we've started to embed in the Adults and Communities Directorate already, and really starting to support and enable people to link into their communities and enable them to become independent, which we all know increases independence and well-being and has those improved outcomes for individuals. It's also about ensuring that we have the is based on need and place, and different areas and localities and communities are going to have different needs and different community aspects to it, and we recognise that, and it's working with the communities to understand that and really looking to see how we can maximise the impact across the services. We are looking to, with Talk Community, it's also about bridging that gap between formal and community support, and how that is fundamental in terms of, like I say, linking people and connecting people back into their communities through that strength-based approach. And it's also, COVID is sort of knocked every single one of us and many of us, everybody in the last sort of 9 months. And it's how, as well, responding to COVID through the Talk Community principles, through the Talk Community approach, to ensure that we are proactive in that prevention of COVID, and also starting to embed it as in responding to COVID as kind of business as usual within that community resilience and that infrastructure as well. So what this kind of shows, and this isn't new to anybody on this meeting tonight, is healthy communities is about promoting independence and well-being, and it's very much that holistic approach that that everything in that bubble, and some things you may well have missed as well, are absolutely critical in terms of improving health and well-being for all, they're all overlap and interdependent to each one. So it's just kind of recognizing that within the Talk Community and the Talk Community approach. What this shows is the kind of the older Asian population that we have in Herefordshire. So the graph kind of shows that the expected and predicted increase up until 2039. So you can see the black dotted line here is the age 16 to 64, actually a decrease in sort of growth. And then the grey dotted line here, we've got the overall population of an increase of 10%. And then in population aged 65 to 84, there's a 34% increase up to 2039. And then you can see this really steep curve in terms of the population aged 85 and over, which is we're expecting 140% increase in population in Herefordshire and those in that group. Which brings absolutely opportunities for us all in terms of things like volunteering and skills and knowledge into the county, but it also can bring some challenges as well around, you know, increasing conditions, and also around things like isolation and loneliness that we know have a huge impact, and certainly on the older Asian population. And what you'll see, what we've tried to identify here is those two red arrows, is actually we've seen this only a very slight increase compared to what we're expected to have over the next few years, and how we really do need to think and work in partnership and differently in the future. So there's four key sort of strands and elements to Talk Community and how we look to work and consider it, I suppose. And the top one is that you are well, you stay well. So maximising that independence for all at all life stages, as where we possibly can to maintain healthy and thriving lives. And that's where we want to, as where we possibly can, support people to be in that group. And then there's managing those risks of impacting of independence and well-being. So this might be, you know, where people are maybe just entering those life-changing experiences, or, you know, maybe just need to lose a little bit of weight or reduce down their, increase their activity. And with a little bit of guidance and support, information and signposting can be supported to get back into that you are well, stay well. And then we have this regain and maximise your independence. That's very much around intensive rehabilitation, reablement, recovering from maybe a fall or an episode in your life that has needed that intensive support to be able to then to get people back into that you are well, stay well, if at all possible. It might be a different you are well, stay well than, you know, before the incident. And then the bottom is around this live independently and well with disability. So again, ensuring that everybody has that opportunity to independence and well-being, even you know, with a disability. So I think what this diagram tries to show is actually 10% of the population's health and well-being is linked to access to healthcare. So actually 90% is the things that, you know, not necessarily that GPs and our health service can support us with. So where, I suppose this is where we've, and maybe statutory services have very much been, is actually, you know, it's very much referring and linking people into those services and that service land. But actually where we really want to consider is, and we know improves people's outcomes and well-being, is linking individuals back into their community or other support networks. So where we're looking to, you know, think about it is from that into this in terms of, you know, that wider support through communities, and how, you know, we can support that through the council on this Talk Community approach. Within Talk Community, we have sort of three different kind of key elements, if you like. We've got the programme of work, which I'll talk about shortly, and Talk Community Hubs sits within that. We've got a operational function that sits within Talk Community, which is some of our operational teams, which you might have heard about, things like Healthy Lifestyle Trainer Service, social prescribers, and we've also got a number of other teams, but also support through grants and income generation for communities and community organisations as well. But this is what this is trying to show you is actually is the COVID response that we provided through Talk Community, both is in lockdown 1, but also in just in lockdown 2. And actually some of this has actually moved to business as usual as well. So you'll see here we had a kind of general population, and we had a central coordinated response support for people needing support with welfare and shopping and medication delivery. And we had that kind of in place. We had a coordinated approach, worked with probably many of you in this room in terms of supporting those very vulnerable people. We then had the shielding group where we supported them in those that obviously that was clinically extremely vulnerable, as we now know them in the second lockdown. We had a project, we have a project called Project Brave as well, which is the hard to reach population with this pre-existing vulnerabilities, which has been built on through COVID, and particularly those in that group is particularly those who are homeless, and we've been working very closely with Venture on that programme of work. And then these are our kind of statutory services that we work very closely with health on in terms of that urgent and crisis response. You'll see here the numbers down the side. So we, in the first lockdown, we had over 4,000 calls and supported over 2,000 people. We were really fortunate to get 1,500 volunteers register with us. We've since gone into a partnership, strategic partnership relationship with HVOS, and they're supporting us and the county with those volunteers, and with our Talk Community approach as well. And then throughout the crisis, lockdown one, we also contact over 7,000 of our shielded individuals and have the 300 volunteers becoming shield buddies for those individuals. So this gives a bit of an overview and feel of some of the projects and programs, which is, like I say, another strand of Talk Community. Today, obviously, we'll go very much into the Talk Community Hubs, which Sarah will come on to very shortly. We've got a larger project that, again, Sarah is working on around the Talk Community Integrated Hubs, and these are hubs out that we're looking larger, building-based, that are going to be within the market towns. And we've got a wellbeing survey that we're looking to launch early in the new year to understand the sort of the wellbeing of the population, which will also be aligned to the children's survey as well. I'm not going to go into all of them, but if anybody wants some further information, I'd be happy to share it. But there are some quite exciting projects in there, and certainly around Talk Community Kitchens and our Talk Community business as well, and that's working with businesses to support and enhance the welfare of their employees. So I will hand over now to Sarah to give you a bit of an overview of the Talk Community Hubs.
Thank you, Amy. Good evening, everybody. It's so lovely to see you all, and thank you for showing up. It's really great to have such a big number in the room. I'm just going to take about 5 minutes or so just to take you through the Talk Community Hubs. I know some of you are already involved with some of our Talk Community Hubs at the moment, and some of you may not know much about Talk Community Hubs. So as I say, it's just literally to take you through what the model is and to just give you an overview of some of the examples and where we're at with the project currently. So I don't think I can, oh, I can, there we go. Okay, so first of all, what is a Talk Community Hub? And this is a really interesting question, and it doesn't matter who I talk to, whether it's in the community, whether it's internally in the council, or it's within my own team in terms of what is a Talk Community Hub. We get different answers back. And the reason for that is a Talk Community Hub is anything that can be anything to any community, because it's about what's already in the community in terms of a community group, community activity, and how can we connect and help and support what's already out there in the community. And ultimately, the vision is it's about bringing residents together and connecting them to services, whether it's in their local community or county-wide, and the voluntary sector health and social care provision. It's also can be a scheme where people can access information and activities to support their wellbeing and independence, and we use our own platform of Wish in order to do that effectively. And it's been quite challenging, as you can imagine, with COVID. And we're currently working on all different kinds of models of Talk Community Hub, which are actually ideas that are generated from community groups already out there doing a fantastic job. And actually, we've got some virtual hubs that are now set up as a result of COVID. So as I say, it's really unique. A Talk Community Hub is really there to reflect what is the local community and what the community needs are. And it can be anything from a parish council, a church, a pub, a community centre or a shop. And as I say, it can be virtual as well. And in terms of who runs the Talk Community Hub, so it's not owned by the council, it's not run by the council. We support it. It's owned by the community and run by volunteers and staff from that local community. And what we do in terms of support, so we have two main offers. The first is we provide training and guides to the community groups or to whoever wants to set up the Talk Community Hub, and we also offer an opportunity for seed funding of £2,500 as well. Oh, I've frozen.
Do you want me to move on?
Yeah, would you mind? Thank you. Yeah. That's brilliant, thanks. So in terms of the model of the Talk Community Hub project, so I'm Sarah Bonsville. I'm the project lead for Talk Community Hubs, and I've got 4 project managers who are out there in the community, and they're split between the PCN areas. We've got a huge ambition to launch 50 Talk Community Hubs by the end of March 2022, with a first target of 20 by next March. That's March 2021, and we're on track despite COVID. And I've mentioned COVID here because COVID has been seen as a barrier, but it's also been a great opportunity for us as well, because as Amy's mentioned, we had so many proactive groups and volunteers that came forward during the COVID-19 response through the Talk Community Programme, and we've been able to link in with a lot of those groups and actually start talking with them and saying, hey, you know, you did a great job, is there anything we can do to continue you to support what you're doing for that community? So it's given us a lot of opportunities as well, and a lot of opportunities to meet people and work with people that we may never have come across before. At the moment, we have got 5 Talk Community Hubs live, and that's from September this year. So we've got Hinton Community Centre, the Ross Community Development Team, which is a Ross Good Neighbour scheme. We've got the Hope Centre, Wellington and Yarpole, and we've got a further 6 that are due to go live, COVID dependent, in January next year, which is Putson Church, Challenge Church, Dying Door, Life and Soul Kitchen, Care and St Peter's Church. We've currently got a further 14 that are being mobilised and are in development to be rolled out for the first quarter of next year, and we're engaging with a further 31. So if you're not mentioned, or if you're interested, please do get in contact with us, because as I say, we're looking really to support as many people as possible. Can you move me on to the next slide, please? Thank you. So I've just got a couple of examples here, and I noticed that Chris, you're in the room, and you're one of the examples I was going to talk about, the Wellington one, and I don't know if you wanted to give an overview of that, of what you're doing as part of the Talk Community Hub.
Yes, I am Wellington, but there's somebody in the room that's a lot more able to talk about it than I am, and that is John.
Right.
So if I could pass the baton over to him, I'm sure he will be absolutely fine.
Fantastic.
Where is he? I can't see him now. There he is.
I'm here. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, John. Yep.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Chris, for passing the baton.
Back, John. I passed the back. It's all right.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we're working with Jess Howdall to create a virtual hub at this point in time. We have talked to Talk Community before, but we haven't got a sort of physical location that's suitable or that fits the model what we've got in the village. We worked very closely, as Amy Pitt said, with the Talk Community people during the coronavirus stroke COVID at the beginning of the year. So we carried on that connection. But as a group, we started off as a task and finish group for the community-led plan for the parish plan about 6 years ago. So we've already got a group that's up and running that's taken on different projects. We've got a team or a couple of people looking at footpaths in the village to try and keep those accessible and get people out walking. We've got our own website, so that's what we're using now. The main thing we're trying to do, I suppose, at the moment is sort of promote the council, promote WISH, because while we've got a sort of health and well-being element to our team, I must say that WISH has improved a lot lately to what it used to be. So I'm very happy to try and promote that. So the main thing we're trying to do is to get out to the community as best we can at the moment, so as they can get the information and make their own decisions to help their own health and well-being. So that's sort of where we are.
Yep, brilliant. Thank you, John. I'm sorry to put you on the spot last minute. We should have had a conversation beforehand. Yeah, and I think it's a really good example, Wellington, because as I say, it's our first virtual hub, and it's a really different model, but it's a really good example to say if there's no physical asset, or if there's a group that's active within the community, we can still support on a virtual platform. And as I say, it's just the start of our journey. I hope, Chris and John, in terms of how we can support you moving forward. But I'd say it's a really good example. I've put on here as well the Hinton Community Centre, because this was our first one that was set up. And this is a different model where at the moment, because of COVID restrictions, we've currently just got a Tuesday afternoon slot for the Talk Community Hub activity, which is in the main cafe area, which is kind of like the centre of the community centre. It's where people meet and greet. And what they've used the seed funding for is they've upgraded the 6 laptops that they currently got with a new system, so that they can enable more effective signposting, using the Wish website to signpost people effectively in the community to services both in the council and also outside the council, at the right time in the right place. And they're planning on, this is just the start, but they're planning on doing lunches. They're planning on also working with health, which also we can help liaise with in terms of, because they've got the laptops. So there's talks around, could we do virtual GP consultations there, and consultant consultations, and actually help people in the community access those virtual platforms because they're not able to, or they haven't got a computer, or they just don't have the IT skills. So as I say, there's quite a lot of activity going on there. We're also working with quite a few churches across the south of the city, and we're looking at how we can help support their fantastic initiative around, they've got a group of volunteers doing some excellent financial and debt advice, where they've actually put them through a course to get an accreditation, and that's not just signposting, but it's actually sitting down with families and individuals and actually effectively budget managing with them. So they're again using the seed funding to help support that, and also widen that service across the city and further. So they're just a couple of examples. Everything that we're doing around Talk Community Hubs. Amy, can I just have the next slide, please? Thank you, Amy. I don't mean to treat you as my my PA. Can be found on the Wish website, and that's the Wish website address there. And we've also got a Talk Community inbox. So this is basically managed by the project managers. So we've got a phone number as well. So if you're interested, or if you want to know more information, please do contact us. As I said, we're very prompt in getting back, and we can start having those conversations with you.